Well, at least the Flyers got rid of Mark Streit. That happened. Thank God. Caleb Weiler, Brian Wright are both here. I'm Adrian Fedke. I guess you could say it was a bit of a quiet deadline day. They did make one move, but Ron Hextall said that they weren't going to be buyers at the trade deadline. The other piece of news, the Flyers re-signed Michael Neuvirth, which Caleb doesn't like because he wants to place it instead. So let's welcome the fellas on. We're going to delve into all these topics on the show. How's it going, guys?
It's going good. Quick deadline day today. Came and went just as everybody expected. Nothing huge. Everybody wanted Claude Giroux to be gone, but I didn't want that, so I'm glad it didn't happen. And typical deadline day for Ron Hextall. I love it.
Yeah, it's nice to be back on. A little bit of a quick turnaround here from our last show. I was hoping beyond hope that maybe he would go balls deep and blow up the team, but hard to do that at the trade deadline. So a nice couple of moves, one questionable, but I do like the trade. So we'll get into that a little deeper.
Yeah, we'll get into it right now. So Valtteri Filppula, I think I pronounced that correctly. Fourth round
Very
pick,
good.
7th for Streit, sending him to Tampa Bay. And then Tampa Bay immediately takes Streit and ships him off to Pittsburgh for a 4th round pick. So that would be disgusting if say, the Penguins make a run again and Mark Streit is on that team. But overall, what would you say? I would say that's some pretty good value for Mr. Streit, huh?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Filppula fills in pretty nicely as your second-line center right now, which bumps Couturier down the line to the 3rd line. And I'm pretty sure that's where Ron Hextall said that he wants Filppula on the 2nd line there. He's a plus player, so he automatically becomes the only player with a positive plus-minus on the Flyers. I'm sure that'll change, but as of right now, he is.
Thanks.
And he's a good player. He doesn't shoot a lot, but he's a good playmaker. He's probably going to be centering Jake Voracek and Travis Konechny when Konechny comes back. He's been cleared for contact, which is good. So I like this move. And the way Ron Hextall put it is that you're not going to find a player of his caliber to sign for 1 year, $5 million this year in free agency. So it's kind of like a free agent signing. They get him for 1 year at $5 million next year, kind of as a stopgap until they can get some younger players out.
Yeah, it's a good move. Just in Hextall's short tenure here as the GM, he's shown an ability to get good value for his trades. And I think Filppula will slot right in there, as you said, Caleb, on the 2nd line, which bumps Couturier down a little bit. But the 2 draft picks, 4th rounder and I believe a conditional 7th rounder. So not the greatest of draft hauls, but you are getting 2 picks. And Hextall has shown the ability to make the most of his draft picks. But perhaps more importantly is you're getting rid of Streit and you're getting rid of his contract. So hopefully you can clear the way for some of those up-and-coming defensemen that we've been talking about for months.
Yeah. All right. Just kind of quick question, maybe for people that might not watch the Flyers as much. All right. So 4th and a 7th round pick. What does that really mean? Considering NFL draft, a 4th round pick. I mean, it's okay. It's right in the middle of the round. But obviously, an NBA draft, you only have 2 rounds. MLB draft has like 127 rounds. So what does it mean to have a 4th and a 7th in the NHL?
It's good. I mean, he could package that and move up to the 3rd round. He could use that to move up. He could package those picks for another player, something along the lines of that. I mean, it's not a great haul, but Mark Streit's a 39-year-old defensive player that's probably done after this year if nobody re-signs him. So, I mean, to put it in perspective, the Flyers drafted Shane Gostisbehere in the 3rd round. Johnny Gaudreau was drafted into the 3rd round. So, in the round before that, there's tons of good players. And the NHL is all about draft and develop. So if you can grab somebody in the 4th round and really develop them, it's a good trade. But either way, you get a defenseman off your books, and that gives a chance for somebody who hasn't had a lot of playing time, maybe one of the younger guys, to come up and fill in the rest of the way.
Yeah, you make a good point there about draft and develop. 4th and a 7th rounder isn't great, but this isn't. It's closer to the NFL. Major League Baseball, not in the amount of rounds, obviously, but with something like the MLB, you can take a guy and you put him in the minors and you draft him. It's the same way with the NHL. You have a lot of guys, with the exception of maybe a Sidney Crosby who gets drafted at 18 and goes straight to the NHL. They get drafted, they're still young, So they start in juniors, they work their way to the AHL, and then to the NHL. It takes several years for them to get up there. So the fact that it's a 4th, 7th is fine compensation for the trade that he pulled off.
Cool. All right. Before we move on, does someone have a TV on? Who has a TV on?
I got the Sixers on. I'll turn it down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just mute it. Yeah, because there's like background noise. All right, so let's move on to the goalie situation. Michael Neuvirth re-signed today. Some people out there would rather have Steve Mason. I'm going to let Caleb vent in a second. Now, another reason why he might have gotten re-signed, well, you got to have 3 goaltenders on your roster, and for for the expansion draft, and well, you don't want Anthony Stolarz to go to the new franchise in Las Vegas. So that seems like a reason why they might have signed Neuvirth today. So Stolarz is kept in Flyers black and orange.
Yeah, so after my first initial being very upset with the signing of Michael Neuvirth.
Oh, so you've calmed down. You're cool now.
I wouldn't say cool. I still like Steve Mason more than Neuvirth. I really don't think that Neuvirth is a starting goaltender. But after reading the fact that the Flyers have to have a goalie under contract, that they get exposed for the draft, and that it's going to be Neuvirth instead of Stolarz, that they're going to protect Stolarz to make sure that they have their future goalie, I was okay with that. Maybe they let Steve Mason test free agency. If he doesn't get any good offers, they bring him back on a 1-year deal for less than he's making now. I mean, yeah, it was the Avalanche, but Mason came back after not playing 4 or 5 games and pitched a shutout, and he had a couple really good saves. I don't really like Michael Neuvirth. I think he's a good backup. I think he's more than serviceable most of the time. But you saw him on this run. He wasn't that great. The Flyers haven't been playing that great. And I just think Mason's the all-around better goalie. He's been top 3 in 5-on-5 save percentage for the Flyers the last couple of years. And I think if the Flyers had to pick somebody moving forward, I would personally go with Mason. But I'm also not an NHL GM. So it's just my thoughts on it. I think Steve Mason is definitely the better goaltender of the two. But either way, they're going to have to walk eventually to make room for the younger guys coming up the pipeline.
Yeah, Steve Mason is definitely a better goaltender than Michael Neuvirth. But like you said, if the reason they made the signing is so they can have 3, so then they protect Stolarz, I'm all for that. Honestly, I don't think either of those guys, Neuvirth or Mason, I don't think either of those guys is your franchise goalie. Neither of those guys is going to be in there when they're ready to win a cup. I'm sick of them, actually. I want Stolarz to play more. I want us to go into next season and start Stolarz and see what you have in some of these young goalies. Granted, some of them are too young. They're not ready yet, but I'm sick of the 25-year, lull with the Flyers where we can't find a goalie. I've had enough of that. So we need to move forward with Stolarz for next year.
Do you think? Obviously they're falling out of the playoff race really, really quickly. They're fading away really fast. Would you bring up Stolarz like now or a couple weeks?
I would have traded one of them and let Stolarz get some more playing time this last however many games we have left. He got a decent run in there when Neuvirth was hurt, when he was backing up Mason. He did a pretty good job. So let's see what you got with him.
Yeah, you won't see him unless somebody gets hurt, and knowing Michael Neuvirth, he probably will get hurt at some point before the end of the season. They might sit one of the goalies to have Stolarz come up. But I really don't think he's NHL ready just yet. He's definitely not ready to be a starter. Next year you can have him come in, but you don't want to break a goalie's confidence. So I just wouldn't put him in that starting role yet. You might want to give him like 25 games next year, but you still need a veteran starting goalie to put in his place.
Okay. All right, let's move on to some more general NHL, obviously, trade deadline, not just for the Flyers, for all NHL teams in the league. So who do you think won the day today, Wednesday?
Yeah, well, the obvious choice is the Washington Capitals. They went out there and they grabbed the prize. Matt Duchene and Gabriel Landeskog didn't get traded. So the prize at the trade deadline this year is Kevin Shattenkirk. And the Capitals gave up a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and a prospect, and they got him. I'm glad the Penguins didn't get him because it was rumored that they were the 2 teams in the bidding war. But the Washington Capitals go out there and they make the best team in the NHL even better. So they're trying to get over the hump. And I like Alex Ovechkin. I really don't have anything against the Washington Capitals. And they're clearly head and shoulders above everybody else now with the addition of Kevin Shattenkirk going into the stretch here.
Yeah, absolutely. Just from a who won the deadline is definitely Washington. They're going for it this year, as you said, making the best team better. But you know what happens to the Capitals in the playoffs. We'll see. Hopefully, they can get over that hump. I think the Florida Panthers made a nice move today to pick up Thomas Vanek. That'll help them in their playoff push as well.
Any other under the radar or kind of moves you guys liked? Anything you guys didn't like? Anything a team really stupid?
For me, the Kings picked up Jerome McGinley, and he's an older, aging player. To me, that move didn't make any sense. You already have Marian Gaborik, who's losing his speed. Why add another aging player? I mean, I can understand that the Avalanche wanted to trade him somewhere to give him a shot at a cup, but the Kings aren't even in a playoff spot right now. I understand he adds veteran leadership. He's been to a Stanley Cup final before. He hasn't won, but all around, I really didn't understand that move at all.
Yeah, that one eluded me, but I do really, like I said, I really do like the move for Florida to pick up Vanek. I think he's really going to help them push forward for that playoff spot. But it's bad news for the Flyers because think about it. I looked at the standings. The Flyers are, I believe, 4 points behind Florida as they chase that last wild card spot, which, if we're being realistic, they probably aren't going to get. That just makes the team in front of us better. So good for them, not so good for us.
Okay. All right. What else have we got? What are you guys kind of looking for as the season kind of goes on here? I mean, you guys talking here, they're only 4 points out, but it's kind of unrealistic that they're going to make a playoff run. So what are the goals from this team? What are you looking for as this season comes to a close?
What I would like to see is I would like to see the big guys get hot. I want to see Claude Giroux. I want to see Jake Voracek, Wayne Simmons, and Shane Gostisbehere all get out there and score goals. Like, I want to see them start playing well offensively. I don't want any more power play goals. I want some 5-on-5 goals. I just want the team to start playing better. They're not going to win a Stanley Cup this year, even if they do end up falling backwards into the playoffs again like they did last year. They're a good team, but they're obviously somewhere in the middle of the NHL, and those guys, I would like to see them play up to their full potential before the season's over.
Your best players, we talk about in any sport, if you're going to win, your best players need to perform like your best players. And for too long this season and past Flyer seasons for stretches, it hasn't happened. Wayne Simmons is the only top player the Flyers have right now that's performing on a consistent level. So the last handful of games here, I would like us for those guys to actually step up and play like the stars that they are and that they can be. As much as I rag on Flyers, they should get rid of Giroux, see what you can get for him, blah, blah, blah. He needs to be better. He knows it. The team knows it. Hextall knows it. He needs to be better. So for his sake, over these last few games, he really needs to show the Claude Giroux of a few years ago. And they need to figure out how to score. I believe they're the worst team in the NHL in 5-on-5 scoring, which is something they really need to fix for not only for this year, but the coming years as well.
All right, you guys are getting the boxing gloves on because Claude Giroux's name has been brought up. Brian wanted him traded. Caleb says it's ridiculous to trade him. So get in the ring. Let's hear you guys' thoughts on that.
Yeah, there's no reason to trade Claude Giroux. He's obviously the captain. He's the person that the team gets behind. There's no reason to trade Claude Giroux unless the Edmonton Oilers come at you and say, we'll trade you Connor McDavid, or we'll give you our first-round pick, or we'll give you this, or we'll give you that. And, the only way you trade your leader is for someone much better than him. There's no reason to break up that locker room. I don't think there's an issue in the locker room because you see the effort that the guys play with. They're just not a good team. I mean, they don't have a good bottom six at all. So teams are able to shut down players like Claude Giroux and Jake Voracek. And he's still putting up points. It's not like he's put up 10 points in 60 games this year. I believe he's probably scoring somewhere around a 0.7 point per game pace this year. And so there's really no reason to trade Claude Giroux. Maybe the only reason you would trade him is because when the Flyers' young guns come up and are actually hitting their prime, Claude Giroux is going to be way out of his.
See, that's where I would lean. If they're building this up, is he going to be – how old is he now, 29?
Yeah.
So when you're ready to win, he's going to be in his mid-30s. Is he still going to be a productive player by then, or will it have passed him by? I mean, you said yourself they don't have a good bottom six. That's true. But if they're not a good team, what? Like they're going to be, assuming they don't make the playoffs, they're going to be the only team in NHL history that has a 10-game winning streak in the regular season and not make the playoffs. So by that, they're not a good team. Why would you want to keep this core together if they're not a good team?
Yeah, but it's not like they're not playing well. They're not playing up to the standard.
But they're not getting the results. Yeah. So what good is it?
Yeah, but when you have players like Dale Weiss and Chris Van de Velde and players like that who have not scored a single goal in God knows how long, you can't really blame the top end guys on the team. Yeah, they're not playing as well either, but hockey's a team sport. It's not like basketball where you get the top pick and then he makes your team instantly better. I mean, Connor McDavid came in and he made his team better. They're in a playoff spot, but they still added players like Cam Talbot, Milan Lucic, and everybody else to fall around him. The Flyers don't have many fall around guys other than Jake Voracek and Wayne Simmons. So you can't really expect Claude Giroux to do everything when there's only really 3 other top 6 guys on his team.
It's a fair point. But is he injured, or is he just not? Is he just not playing as well as he could have? You know, I think this is the first year in his career he's going to be outside the top 20 in scoring. Or about the lack of talent around him, or that he's underperforming, or is it both?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, unfortunately, the Flyers aren't a good team right now, and they don't have a pure sniper to put alongside of Claude Giroux. Claude Giroux doesn't shoot a lot. He passes the puck. And so if we could get an Alexander Ovechkin, Patrick Laine type shooter, a guy who shoots first, you know, I guarantee that his numbers would go back up to normal. The best year he had as a Flyer was the year Jágr was here. He shot the puck as soon as he got it every year. If the Flyers could go out there and get another player like that, and chances are Oscar Lindblom is going to make the team next year, who's the shooter? If he can make his way up to the top line, I expect Claude Giroux's production to shoot back up next year.
Okay, we'll see what happens. I have high hopes for Oscar Lindblom now.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But he's scoring a lot of points in the SHL right now. He's putting up points similar to players like Nicholas Backstrom and Peter Forsberg over there. So we'll see what happens. But he's going to be a good kid.
Let me ask you this about back on Giroux. Is he hard to coach? Because I feel like for years and years, we've been saying he needs to shoot more, he needs to shoot more, he needs to shoot more. He doesn't do it. Now, is it because he doesn't have somebody like Jágr that he just feels wouldn't that be a situation where if he has less talent, he has to shoot more because he's the guy?
Yeah, but he's been playing hockey the same way for 25 plus years. So you don't want to change the way someone plays the game. You don't want to tell somebody who gets 60 assists in a year that needs to go out there and start shooting more. He's good at passing the puck. He's good at seeing the ice. There's no reason to go out there and tell him to change his game just because everybody else around him can't handle it.
But if they can't score, he's got to score.
I mean, he's still scoring goals. I mean, it's not like he's not scoring goals at all. I think he probably has like 12 or 13, maybe 14 goals on the year, which isn't a lot. But, like, if you can get 20 goals out of somebody who's normally putting up assists, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. Like you said, I have hopes for Lindblom now and the rest of the kids coming up.
Yeah,
all right.
We'll see what happens.
All right, we got like 8 foul rounds in. Good back and forth banter there. Some good stuff.
Caleb wins by decision.
By the way,
he wins by decision.
You guys keep bringing up Alexander Ovechkin. You know what he looks like? He looks like Mr. Larson from Happy Gilmore. Looks exactly like him. They look exactly the same. And they got the stupid hair, too. Looks like, salt and pepper hair.
I'm truly proud of you. Thanks a lot, Mr. Larson. That's really great to hear.
You struck my foot.
This ball struck my foot.
All right, so the Flyers, they won a game yesterday. They win one tomorrow. That's 2 in a row. You win one again on Saturday. That's called a winning streak. It has happened before. They did win 10 games in a row earlier this season. So, is it possible that they could maybe go on a run, or is this team it's just not going to happen?
I mean, the Flyers were in the same exact position last year at this time that they are this time. So
That's what I'm talking about.
it's not impossible, but improbable, I would say. I don't expect them to make the playoffs, but it's not impossible. If they decide to get their heads out of their butts and start playing hockey like they did last year, it could happen. But chances are it won't.
Yeah, it's possible. Like we were talking before about the trade deadline with the Panthers picking up Thomas Vanek. The Flyers' next game, which is tomorrow, is against Florida. So if you win that game, then you're 2 points behind Florida, I believe. 2 points behind assuming the other results go their way. If you win tomorrow, points out of the last wildcard spot, which is possible, but then you still have a couple of teams you have to jump over. So if they could put together, tomorrow would be a third straight win. If they could get to 0, which is unlikely, but if you could get to maybe 6 wins in a row, like we said, it has happened before. I think you have a shot. But unfortunately, this team is just too inconsistent.
Yeah. All right. So we'll kind of end there. We got any final thoughts before we head out?
Final thoughts. Claude Giroux is not elite anymore, but he's still the leader of this team. He should remain the leader of this team. And more importantly than anything else, I'm getting married on Saturday.
Oh.
So,
Yeah. Oh.
lots of fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Lots of fun. Congratulations to Adele as well, because she's now going to have to put up with me until the day that I die. So.
Where is Adele? She's usually making an
Where
appearance.
is Adele? No, she's at home today.
So you guys bought a house.
We
You
did.
just bought a
I
house.
live here. She lives at home.
We did. I live here.
I live here by myself.
She's at her house. I am alone. It's sad. But anyways, now she has to put up with me all the time.
Hey, man, that's awesome, though. Good luck on Saturday, and hope everything works out, man. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Sure
Thank
will.
you.
I remember when we brought you on. You proposed to her at the Flyers game, so it's cool to see everything grow with you. So.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
been a fun time. It's been a good year. It's been a year ago today, actually, that we got engaged. So, quick year.
Wow, so you've been here for almost a year then.
Yeah.
It's been that long. Wow.
Yeah. I can't
Holy
believe you put up with me for that long.
Yeah, well, I was able to do it somehow.
Yeah.
God bless her.
I know.
Yeah, good luck, man. It's going to be awesome. I love dancing. I love weddings. I love weddings.
It'll be fun.
So many drunk girls to take advantage of.
Not at my wedding.
Brian, you got anything you want to say?
Any final thoughts? Let's see. Fuck Brian Colangelo. I'll just say that. And the rest of the Sixers medical staff. Since we're on final thoughts, so things that are unrelated to the Flyers.
Yeah.
How come nobody has questioned the Sixers medical staff? I'm just going to put that out there.
They should be questioned. Absolutely. Everyone that comes in here, it's like a volcanic eruption. Everyone gets hurt.
So many injuries. There's so many injuries in a small period of time, and they're just basketball injuries where they get hurt, you come back in a few weeks or months, and then they play. But no, a torn meniscus is a 3 to 6 week injury, but he's going to miss the rest of the season. What else? Oh, Philadelphia Union start their season Sunday night on the Comcast network in Vancouver. So if you're a soccer fan, we've got I guess we're going to do a Union preview show sometime in the next couple of days here if we can, and it's going to be a good Union season. So if you like footy, tune in for that.
Word. All right. As for me, I don't really have anything, but I will say this: over the next couple weeks, I'm gonna start bringing it on here with some draft stuff. I'm gonna be doing some in-depth scouting reports on some prospects. I'm gonna try something I haven't tried before, so this should be interesting. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and I think you guys are gonna love it because I know football.
Yeah, like you know hockey.
Oh well, hey, we don't have to talk about my hockey knowledge here. I'm the host. I ask the questions.
You know plenty.
It's okay.
I taught
You know 12 personnel trips left. That's what you know.
Well, I know football. I mean, I don't know hockey.
I mean-
There's no 12 personnel in hockey.
I wonder if that
There's.
Right about that.
maybe that would be one
I'm
goal.
all about the flying V.
Flying
There
V.
you go.
Yeah. So that's what I'm all about. All right. That's it for today. Caleb Weiler, Brian Wright. I'm Adrian Fetke. We'll be back next week with another show. Pretty much every Wednesday we do these. So come back, stay tuned, and go Flyers.
Go
Yeah.
Flyers.
Go Fly.
All right. Take care, guys.
Peace.
Peace.